Hi, everyone. Welcome to BBB Trust Talks. This is the second year that we're doing this special initiative for our small businesses as part of our Small Business Month celebrations. And so to kick things off for this year's edition, we are going to be sitting down with our first business, and I'll let them do the introduction. But for now, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Carla Laird, and I'm with the Better Business Bureau. And with me is also Perna Sharma.
Hi, everyone.
All right, and now I will introduce our guest that you can see here. Well, I'll let him do the introductions. David, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm David Balfour from Clayton Heights Sports and Therapy Center, and we're located in Surrey, BC.
All right, so tell us about your company. Tell us about it. Who are you and what's your connection to that business?
So my connection to the business is I myself was in 2 severe automobile accidents. I've had over 28 surgeries and had to learn how to walk again. And going through the process of multiple surgeries over a 6 or 7 year period, I just found out that I was bounced to a bunch of different clinics, a bunch of different therapists to try to get the best treatment possible. And so while I was going through the process of recovery and stuff, I wanted to simplify the process for the patients and the clients and the customers, where they could have one place where they can get all their treatments done, and one place where they weren't struggling to find, where they could get the answers to the questions that they needed in order to get better faster and more efficiently.
Wow, that is an experience indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about why did you decide to base your operations in Surrey?
I based my operations in Surrey mostly because that's where I'm from, and that's where my connections and networks are. I knew a lot of doctors and knew a lot of people in the Surrey area. I actually grew up in the Brookswood-Langley area, which is where on the Surrey-Langley border our clinic. So working and living in Surrey and growing up in Langley and having the connections and networks there, I just felt it was a spot where I knew kind of the markets and I knew the areas and I knew the type of people that lived. I didn't really have to go do additional research to see if it was a good area or good market to have a business in, because I knew the area very well.
Yeah, so it's basically familiar territory. You know it like the back of your hand. It's your backyard essentially. So it made sense to set up a business that you can contribute, to the community and as well as help those in need as well. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I understood the communities and the people around it. I understood where they worked and the type of incomes coming in and stuff. So from a business standpoint, it was a strength area.
Okay, that makes sense. So just looking at the name of the business, it's sports and therapy, but just thinking about that, I could have a million thoughts as to what you do offer in terms of products and services. So, what do you offer to the community?
So we wanted to be a one-stop health hub for people. So we started with physiotherapy, which had the biggest impact on myself getting better. And so we wanted sports and therapy because being an athlete and having a sports fan, it's an area, again, that I knew a lot of people, a lot of connections and stuff. And I understood that if you're playing competitive sports, you are going to get injured. It's not a matter of if, it's more a matter of when. And when you do get injured, it's a matter of getting back on track as fast and as efficiently as possible so you can keep competing. And then the other side of it for the therapy side was somebody like myself that was in a car accident and didn't know where to find the answers. So going from there, under one roof, we brought in the physiotherapy, we brought in chiropractor, we brought in active rehab, we brought in massage therapy, we brought in traditional Chinese medicine, all the different things. What I found over the time and going through my experience, it's not necessarily one therapy or modality that gets you better. It's a combination of therapy and modalities that get you better. And the hard part is, we don't know what that combination is that's going to work for your body or work for you until we have you here. So by having everything underneath one roof, we can move you around to a therapist or a modality that's going to make it easier and faster for you to recover.
Oh, I like that. That sounds very good. The question I have, and I'm probably just saying it in jest though, I know you mentioned you take care of those who were in sports or in a situation that wasn't anticipated, like a car accident. But what about people like me that just feel like I'm just getting old and nothing's working like it used to.
We definitely covered everybody and the people that feel older, people that are just busy with life. Nowadays, people are just busy. They're working more. People are stressed out. They have families. They have kids. They're helping look after their parents, or they have parents that are distant that they're trying to manage. And all that adds to different stress and different wears and tears to the body. So out of that, we can definitely help with those. And the great thing is we bill almost all the extended plans that we can directly, so that people are going to be out of pocket less money, and we can bill them direct. So it's going to cost you next to nothing, which is part of the reason why you have this extended benefits. In today's world, they're starting to call it prehab or preventative care and maintenance, and to make sure that you are functional and that make sure you are de-stressed and that you can function throughout your life.
Nice. I like that.
I like that. In the Lower Mainland, there are quite a few sports and therapy centers. So can you tell us a little bit about what makes your business unique when compared to others in the industry?
One of the things that makes us different and that we pride ourselves on is that everybody's going to get individual one-on-one care with a therapist. And out of that, we searched the globe, and I brought therapists from 6 continents from around the world to find people that are going to be able to connect and able to get people better faster, and have that one-on-one touch with them. So you have that therapist the whole time. You're not hooked up onto a machine. You're not passed off to an assistant. You have that one-on-one care, which means in general, you're going to get better faster. Instead of having an assistant or a machine kind of put on you, here you're going to have the one-on-one time, which means instead of 10 or 5 or 10 minutes with the therapist, you're going to have the whole half an hour or whole hour appointment with a therapist dedicated to you. And out of that, instead of coming to the clinic 2 or 3 times a week, you come once or twice. And over the course of the last 11 years, we also found out that people are getting better at a much faster rate, that the number of overall visits is cut down per week, and they're also getting better faster. So instead of an average of 8 to 12 weeks, people are getting better 4 to 6 weeks, because they're having more one-on-one time, so we can get to the root cause of the problem that's doing it. If the therapist isn't with you, they don't have the time to source back the root cause of the problem. Just because you have pain in your back or pain in your knee doesn't necessarily mean that's the injury source. We need to trace it back to the triggers that are causing that. And without the one-on-one time, you can't get to the root source of the problem. And that's really what makes us different. And that's really what's allowed us to become, an award-winning clinic that year after year we've won Best Clinic.
Nice. Awesome. That's amazing. So taking all of that into consideration, it sounds like you guys have really figured out a lot of the kinks to make your business very unique. So what would you say are some of those kinks or some of those challenges your business faced over the last 11 years?
Some of the challenges or kinks, I guess some of the biggest challenges, I think when it comes to business and a business owner, I think challenges are just part of having a business. Whether it's not being able to buy new equipment or top of the line equipment, or when new stuff comes out, the research comes out, you need to be able to afford that. In order to have the world-class therapists, they get paid more than average. So we have to make sure that we have money to do there and make payroll. There's different challenges when the business is shut down for COVID and other different things. And if you want to keep the good people, you still have to look after them. And again, that means as a business owner, you're sacrificing more out of your own pocket for short-term versus long-term. And as a business person, you really have to look at the long-term, because every day you're going to hit with challenges, and just having people come in the door, and then not only do they have to come in the door, you want to keep them in the door. And in our case, we want to get them better as fast as possible and get them out, because we have a wait list of people trying to get in. Wow. So if it's taken us longer to get people better, then we're not able to get more people in the doors and stuff. So part of our goal is to get you better with less visits and as fast as possible, so that we can get you in, so we can get new people into a spot and they're not stuck on a wait list and they're not stuck waiting.
So I would probably add another question to that now, with the sense that with all of those kinds of challenges, I know I would not be motivated to be a business owner. So why are you so motivated to continue despite all of those very complex situations that you have to deal with on a daily basis?
I think I wanted to be a business owner. I am a business owner, mostly because I love people and I want to give back to people.
Nice.
And having a business and impacting the community and being part of the community brings you close connection and close ties to a lot of different industries and a lot of people that in a normal job I wouldn't have the ability to meet, and especially the diverse amount of people and the diverse amount of people I could impact is much higher having a business rather than having an employee or a job.
Nice. That's so true. Absolutely. Now, we spoke about, some of the challenges that your business has faced, but let's talk about, according to you, what are the 3 factors for success, that you've seen and that you like to share with other businesses out there as well?
Yeah. 3 factors I would suggest or that people need to say is number 1, they need to be resilient and have the ability to understand that problems are coming and you need to get over them. Not everything's going to be within your control, but being a business owner, you need resiliency and the ability to bounce back. The second part I would say is you need to treat every person and every client or customer like their gold. They're the bread and butter. They're what pays your income and your staff's income and stuff. You have to look after your customers first, either with your product or with your service. And I guess the third factor would be you need great staff. Hire great staff. Keep your standards high. Make sure you understand what you need in staff and what you're looking for your staff, and treat them well. Treat them like you're part of their family, and have them so that they want to be working for you and want to be with you.
Nice. Absolutely. And considering all of these success factors have proven as well, I'm sure there is one memorable experience that, you'd like to share with us as a business owner or being in the industry as well.
One of the successes, I guess, that I'm most proud of is we had a regular patient stuff that was coming in that worked for the hospital, and she had a client that was in a severe accident and was distraught and wasn't sure what to do, and so she asked me to come talk to him and kind of walk him through the process of what's to be expected in the recovery process and what to do. So I went and I met them at the hospital and talked to him and worked him through his hospital stay. And in the end, when it was time for therapy, even though there's other clinics close to them, they decided to come to us. And through our therapists and staff, we were able to get into full recovery. And it was a dirt bike motor accident. And now he's out and he's riding his bike and having a good time as if nothing ever happened. And he's able to move on and grow from an experience that could typically hold people back. But going along his journey with him, is what I take the greatest pleasure out of.
Wow, that's great to hear.
That is great to hear. So I wanted to switch a little bit and just talk about some of the not so great sides of business, which probably would be, well, at least the highlight of most person's year for 2020 to 2021 is the pandemic. And we've spoken to several different businesses to kind of get a sense of what their experience was like, especially in the peak when you had to shut down or because of the lockdowns and all the different restrictions that you had to navigate. But what was that process like for you?
So I guess in the beginning, the processes weren't too different because we're in healthcare and stuff. We basically follow the same regulations as the hospital and stuff. So even though we had to put a few more cleaning protocols and stuff in place, most of the things were already in place for us to succeed on that side of it. The greatest challenge was when we were shut down and worrying about how my employees and how my staff were going to eat and feed their families, and making sure that they could get through it, which meant more sacrifices on my side to make sure that the core employees and the core people and stuff were looked after even while we were shut down.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And now that things are a little more, I suppose, stable, you kind of get a better sense of where things are as the pandemic is concerned and as the province continues to reopen and we're still juggling. What are some immediate measures that you are currently implementing to keep the staff and the customers safe?
Yeah, so some of the current measures that we have in place is we have a sanitization process where all the door handles and all the light switches and everything else is sanitized 3 times a day and signed off on it. We have all the beds and the rooms and stuff are sanitized in between patients. We had to create a gap in between patients, a 10-minute gap, so that we can clean and sanitize and make sure everything's reset in time for people. Which from a business side, we needed to do to stay open, but from a business side, it also meant we could see less people per day. But we also had to view it as at least we're open.
Yes.
Right? Being open for 70% of our business is much better than being closed for 100% of it.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
And that's part of what people have to understand. Things are changing and things are moving along. The laws are changing on how we work and how we interact with people. And we have to be open to whatever they are. I get asked all the time from my staff, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? And the basic answer is whatever we're told to do about it. There's no point fighting it. There's no point being upset about it. Obviously, it's for the greater good of everybody. And as long as you keep that in mind, just follow the new rules, follow the protocols, and make sure you can bring in as much people safely as you can.
Yes, yeah. That's a good positive perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's shift gears now and, speak about your association with the Better Business Bureau. Firstly, I'd like to understand why did you choose to become BBB accredited?
Mostly I chose because one of the things I think in healthcare and most industries is well, number one, word of mouth, but number two is your reputation, what people think about you, and how do they decide where they're going to go. And for me, when I think about Better Business Bureau, it means a business that's trustworthy, and it's accredited, so it's been scrubbed, it's been looked through as an ethical business and stuff. And I felt since we were doing that stuff anyway, we might as well be accredited. And from a patient standpoint and a customer standpoint, I think it brings an immediate trust because, we're in healthcare, and to my knowledge, I don't think there's very many. It's not an industry that's typically accredited. But for me, I felt just because that doesn't mean our customers don't know who the Better Business Bureau is. The places where they're working at or their family working at, they all have different relationships and different levels of trust with Better Business Bureau. So being part of the Better Business Bureau just meant that is giving our patients and our clients that a level of trust that they knew what we were saying was how it was going to be.
Yeah, and I can definitely stand behind that in the sense that we have over 1.2 million people checking our business profiles every year, and then they look at the businesses even before making a decision to see what's there. And so that's good to know that you saw value in making sure that you are, you have the BBB stamp of approval with your operation. So yes, definitely.
And on the other hand, we know that, we always educate our consumers to go with the BBB accredited business because they know that they can, they're working with an ethical business above everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking about, ethical business and how people see you, part of that also concerns community involvement. And so as someone who is born and raised in Surrey and in that community, how does your business contribute towards or even help to develop the communities that you're serving?
We do lots of different community events and sponsor different things locally. We work with the local high schools and the basketball and the volleyball and football teams and provide treatments or taping and different things like that. There's different cancer walks and different things that we'll either sponsor or we'll provide some therapies to go to so people can get treatments afterwards to create exposure that way. We work with the local PAC committees in the elementary schools and stuff to give away different gift certificates and different promotions that way. But any kind of way that I can touch the community or be a part of it, I'm always interested in it.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, that sounds great. Now, can you tell us a little bit about how your business considers diversity, inclusion, and accessibility in its daily operations?
Well, from our standpoint, from diversity, we're a very diverse group. We have people from 6 different continents. We've brought in, and for diversity, from my standpoint, I just look at it as just being normal, which part of that might have been just growing up in Vancouver and in a diverse family and in a multicultural area. And I understand that some places aren't like that. But for me, it was just a natural course of business and being a person and stuff. And again, because we live in a multicultural area, being diverse is critical to being able to communicate and relate to our patients and our customers. Because the more cultures and the more diverse we are, the more people we can relate to and we can bring in. And even though I didn't know this at first, but because we have therapists from different spots around the world, we have some therapists that are Korean, and then all of a sudden we have an influx of Korean people come in. We have therapists from Russia, and now we have a group of Russian patients and stuff come in. So part of that is community and culture and stuff. And if you want to be impactful to your community, you have to be impactful to all of it.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, and I just like you said, with so many people from different parts of the world, you're able to serve people in different languages too. So yeah, it's inclusive in that way too, for sure.
It's about time we normalize this. So this is great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is normalized. And I think that's where it needs to head to.
Yes, absolutely. I would probably just want to hear from an accessibility standpoint, because we've spoken to consumers from time to time and they feel like, especially if they are disabled in one way or another, they can't enter into certain locations. Is that how have you considered that in your operations?
Well, accessibility was critical for myself as being somebody who was in a wheelchair. That I have direct contact with what it's like from being shut out or being left out, or not being included that way. Everything in our clinic is made or designed for full accessibility of any type of disability that we can bring in. It obviously that touches a soft spot for me. And again, it's part of the normalization of our clinic and our business. If we want to include the community, we need to include all of it. And some people have accessibility issues and we need to take care of that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for making that a priority.
Well, and just like that, we've reached the end of our session. But before we let you go, I have another question for you. Now, how can consumers get in touch with you about your products and services? Of course, you have your very active business profile on the bbb.org website. Apart from that, can you share a little bit about how consumers can access your information and all of that?
Yeah, I think one of the positive things that have come out of the pandemic and stuff is making things more accessible for our patients and clients and stuff. So we have 5 full-time front end people. So the phones are active from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night. And as well as the weekends from 9 to 6. And so our phone number is a good way to reach us at 604-579-0105, as well as online at Clayton Heights Sports and at ClaytonHeightsPhysio.com. You can book online and see all our therapists and see their profiles, and as well see their schedule and book an appointment as well.
Awesome.
That's great.
So thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us. I know you have a business to run, and we really appreciate you taking the time to share about your side of the story as a business owner in our beautiful province. So we hope you guys learned something informative. We hope you do visit David's business in Surrey, and that you take care of yourself. And if you can't do it, you can definitely reach out to him to get the support that you need to make sure that you put yourself and your health first.
Absolutely. Now, before we end the session, David, would you like to say something?
Go out there and be active and look after yourself and enjoy life.
Nice closing words. And sweet and so true. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, David, for taking the time to speaking with us. And we look forward to another episode of the BBB Scam Jam. So thanks everyone for watching.